India's Narendra Modi government completes 100 days of its third term in office. Addressing the media, Home Minister Amit Shah said that one nation, one election will be implemented before the completion of the government's tenure.
वन इलेक्शन उसको लेकर क्या योजना है और कब तक इसको लागू किए जाने की संभावना?
इसी सरकार के कार्यकाल में वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन हम लागू करेंगे.
The minister said that for the first time in 60 years, there is political stability in India and that the country has experienced a continuity in policies.
60 साल के बाद पहली बार कोई एक नेता तीसरी बार अपनी घोषणा के साथ देश का प्रधानमंत्री बनकर देश का नेतृत्व कर रहा है. 60 साल के बाद पहली बार देश में राजनीतिक स्थिरता का माहौल आया है और नीतियों के सातत्य को भी हमने अनुभव किया है और नीतियों की दिशा, नीतियों की गति और नीतियों को क्रियान्वयन करने की सटीकता, ये तीनों 10 साल तक बरकरार रखकर 11वें साल में प्रवेश करना मैं मानता हूं बहुत कठिन है.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday launched the Subadra scheme in Bhubaneswar. Subadra is a flagship initiative of the Odisha government to provide financial assistance for women. The scheme is aimed at supporting more than 10 million such women. Under the scheme, all eligible beneficiaries between the ages of 21 and 60 would receive 50,000 rupees, that is about $600 over a period of 5 years. The Prime Minister also launched several other development works on the occasion. He handed over the keys of homes to the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin and urban beneficiaries. He also released the first installment of financial assistance under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin to nearly 13 lakh, that's 1.3 million beneficiaries. And Prime Minister Modi also interacted with the beneficiaries of the PM Awas Yojana Urban in Odisha's Bhubaneswar. The Prime Minister, along with Odisha's Chief Minister Mohan Charan Majhi, visited the homes of beneficiaries who welcomed them with sweets and performed an arti, a Hindu ritual of worship. Aam Aadmi Party leader and Minister Atishi will be the new Chief Minister of Delhi. Aam Aadmi Party national convener and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal on Tuesday proposed her name. She was subsequently elected as the leader of the AAP Legislative Party in Delhi. The Kalkaji legislator will take over as Chief Minister after Arvind Kejriwal resigns after meeting with the Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena. A day after being given bail by the country's top court, the Aam Aadmi Party convener on Sunday announced that he would resign from the Delhi Chief Minister's post and attempt to clear his name through public opinion. 24 constituencies across the Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir will go to the polls in the first phase on Wednesday. Polling parties left for their designated polling stations with electronic voting machines ahead of the voting. The voting will take place from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. local time. Voting could continue after 6 p.m. if there are voters queuing up at the polling stations to exercise their right to vote. Besides, multi-tier security arrangements are in place to ensure free and fair elections, for which teams of the Central Armed Police Forces units, State Armed Police and State Police are deployed. The elections in the Union Territory are first since abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. The other two phases of election will take place on 25th of September and the 1st of October. Results will be declared on the 8th of October. And joining me from Srinagar is my colleague Shabbir Dar. Shabbir, talk to us about the prominent candidates who are standing for election in phase 1.
Yeah, the phase 1 will start from tomorrow, that is September 18, and it is a high-pitched contest in Jammu and Kashmir. because all the political parties have put in their top faces and into the election. So in the first phase, 24 assembly constituencies will go to poll, and some big faces who are in the fray in the first phase are some top leaders of National Conference, Congress, and in Kashmir, the only CPM leader who's a former 3-time MLA, Mr. Muhammad Yusuf Taregami, is contesting from Kulgam. Mahbub Mufti's daughter, Iltija Mufti, is contesting from Bijbara Assembly constituency. And in Jammu region, where among the 24 constituencies, 8 constituencies in the Jammu region are like where BJP's top leaders in the state unit are contesting from Toda and Kashtawar region. So yes, a high-pitched contest between various political parties. On the one hand, we have National Conference and Congress, into a triple alliance. They are in direct fight with BJP in Jammu constituencies, and in Kashmir, like 16 constituencies are going to polls, mostly in the South Kashmir. NC and Congress alliance are in direct contest with PDP and BJP, and few independents are also very prominent in certain constituencies. So I can say it's a high-pitch contest. People are enthusiastically participating in these, in run-up to the election. When we saw the campaigning and rallies, people, particularly youth, were enthusiastically being part of these electoral process. So it is a monumental democratic festival happening in Kashmir, first time after 10 years and first time after abrogation of Article 370.
All right, we leave it there. Shabir, thank you. Appreciate it. That was my colleague Shabir Dar reporting there on the first phase of elections to be held on Wednesday. Moving on, India's top court resumed its hearing on a suo motu case regarding the alleged rape and murder of a doctor at a Kolkata hospital last month. A 3-judge bench headed by Chief Justice of India is considering a fresh status report submitted by the Central Bureau of Investigation. The CBI on Saturday arrested Abhijit Mondal in connection with the ghastly rape and murder of a junior doctor. Mondal was in charge of the Tala police station when the body of the junior doctor was recovered from the seminar hall of the hospital on the 9th of August. Meanwhile, the hope of doctors returning to their duties in Kolkata rose after West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee accepted some of the demands of the protesting doctors on Monday. After meeting with them, the Chief Minister announced that the removal of the Director of Medical Education and the Director of Health Services, besides the Kolkata Police Commissioner. To tackle safety security measures in hospitals, a special task force headed by the Chief Secretary has been formed to address any future grievances from the doctors. Talking to the media, the Chief Minister announced a 100 crore rupee or $12 million allocation to improve infrastructure in state-run hospitals, including the construction of restrooms and bathrooms. This decision addresses one of the key demands of the protesting doctors. She has appealed to the doctors to return to their work. She said that no disciplinary action would be taken against the agitating doctors. The doctors are on a cease work across the state for 38 days since the alleged rape and murder of a postgraduate intern at the RG Kaur Hospital came to light on the 9th of August, crippling the state-run healthcare delivery. New Delhi has slammed the remarks by Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei about Muslims in India. India's Ministry of External Affairs denounced the Iranian leader's remarks, saying, and I'm quote, "We strongly deplore the comments made regarding minorities in India by the Supreme Leader of Iran. These are misinformed and unacceptable. Countries commenting on minorities are advised to look at their own record before making any observations about others," unquote. In other news, campaigning for Sri Lanka's presidential election has gained momentum, with candidates making their final push to attract voters. The top contenders have been conducting meetings and rallies in various locations, tackling a variety of issues. As the incumbent president Ranil Wickremesinghe seeks re-election as an independent, he is challenged by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa from the Samagi Jana Belawagaya and Anura Kumara Dissanayake from the leftist National People's Power Alliance. 38 candidates are in the fray. No woman candidate is contesting the election. This in spite of the fact that women make up 52% of the more than 17 million electorate. Since the country introduced the universal franchise in 1931, the number of women in parliament has never crossed 7%. Today, they are just 5.3% of its 225 members and historically held only a fraction of cabinet positions. And joining me from Colombo is my colleague Ahmed Moeen Faruqi. Ahmed, women account for more than 50%, as the report said, but no woman is contesting the election. Why is it so?
Good afternoon, Ramesh. You see, it's a systemic issue here in Sri Lanka. We have always seen that in the recent times, the political circles have been patriarchal mostly. That said, we also have to remember that world's first ever prime minister was from Sri Lanka. Sirima Bandaranaike in the 60s and later on her daughter. They were the heads of the government of their respective times. Despite that, you see, in today's time, the representation of women in politics is pretty low. And that is something which is quite alarming. And women parliamentarians have repeatedly said that no amount of quota system or no amount of usual methodology will be enough. Rather, a systemic change is required wherein people are, made aware of the gender, sensitizations to be present in the political circles. In addition to that, I would like to also add here that among all the political manifestos of the current front-runner candidates, incumbent President Mr. Wickremesinghe's manifesto talks about, more representation of women in politics, and he addresses issues which are related to that. At the same time, today we are having unveiling of SJB's Women's Charter. So that will kind of give a push towards the presence of women in the political arena, and probably it might improve things in the future. But for now, yes, there are no women candidates among the 38 candidates who are contesting the presidential election.
All right, we'll leave there. Ahmed Moeen Faruqi in Colombo. Thank you. Appreciate it. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Israel expands war goals to include return of residents near border with Lebanon. Moscow claims to carry out a significant counter-offensive on Ukraine in Kursk region. And the man suspected of planning to assassinate Donald Trump is charged with 2 gun-related crimes.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. To West Asia now, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that enabling residents to return to communities in northern Israel that have been evacuated because of attacks by the Lebanon-based Hezbollah group is now a goal of the Gaza conflict. This comes a day after the country's defense minister said the only way left to ensure the return of the northern communities will be via military action as Hezbollah continues to align itself with the Hamas. Tens of thousands of Israelis have been evacuated after Hezbollah stepped up attacks on Israel. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will travel to Egypt on Tuesday for talks with Egyptian officials on a Gaza ceasefire and release of hostages. The U.S., Egypt and Qatar are top mediators aiming to broker a deal between Israel and the Hamas. According to the U.S. State Department, Blinken will try to ensure a deal to help establish broader regional security. The biggest sticking points in the talks include Israel's demand to keep its forces in the Philadelphia corridor to maintain a buffer between Gaza and Egypt. Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid pushed for a hostage release deal as he met U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Washington, D.C.
Thank you for being here. I just finished a long meeting with Secretary Blinken. Before that, I met with the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, discussing the situation back home in Israel and the relations with the United States, and most importantly, the hostage deal that needs to be taken. Israel needs the hostage deal and the end of the war, and no political process or political turbulence should affect the hostage deal. We have to bring them back home.
The United Nations General Assembly will debate on Tuesday on a Palestinian draft resolution demanding an end to the Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories. The draft resolution demands an end to Israeli presence in the occupied Palestinian territory. The text, which has faced fierce criticism from Israel, is based on an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice, calling Israel's occupation since 1967 as quote-unquote unlawful. The UNGA will vote on the resolution late on Tuesday local time. The draft resolution also demands the withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Palestinian territories and a halt to new settlements. Moving on, Russia on Monday said that its forces had retaken control of 2 villages in the western region of Kursk. Russian forces have been battling Ukrainian troops there since the 6th of August, when Kyiv surprised Moscow with the biggest foreign attack on Russian soil since the Second World War. Ukraine says its forces control about 100 villages in Kursk over an area of more than 1,300 square kilometers, which Russian forces dispute. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, speaking in his nightly video address on Monday, said that he had discussed the situation in Kursk with his top commander, Alexander Syrsky.
Over 100 battles have occurred since the beginning of the day, with the heaviest fighting in the Kurahovo and the Pokrovsk direction. We are defending our positions. Regarding the Kursk operation, we discuss it in detail, and every day we act as planned. I want to thank each of our brigades and units of their coordinated efforts and true resilience.
Across the Atlantic in the U.S., a 58-year-old man suspected of planning to assassinate Donald Trump has been charged with 2 gun-related crimes. According to court documents filed on Monday, the suspect may have been lying in wait for nearly 12 hours, hiding in the bushes with a loaded semi-automatic rifle. The U.S. Secret Service says that the suspect did not fire any shots and never had Trump in his line of sight. The man was arrested on Sunday after allegedly fleeing the crime scene and is being held in custody on charges of illegally possessing a firearm with a scratched-out serial number.
Announced that Ryan Wesley Routh, 58 years old, of Hawaii, has been charged by a criminal complaint in the Southern District of Florida with firearms offenses related to an incident which occurred yesterday at Trump International Golf Course right here in West Palm Beach. Routh was charged federally with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession and receipt of a firearm with an obliterated serial number.
Meanwhile, Republican White House candidate Donald Trump blamed his election rival Kamala Harris and U.S. President Joe Biden for the recent assassination attempt on his life. In an interview, Trump said that the suspect's actions were directly influenced by the highly inflammatory language of Biden and Harris. He argued that the dangerous rhetoric and legal challenges he faces are fueling the actions of dangerous fools, such as the man who allegedly planned to assassinate him. For his part, U.S. President Joe Biden commended the Secret Service for its handling of an apparent assassination attempt on Trump. He said there is no place for political violence in the U.S.
Let me just say, there is no, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, those of you who know me, many of you do, no place in political violence for political violence in America. None. Zero. Never. I've always condemned political violence. I always will in America. In America, we resolve our differences peacefully, the ballot box, not at the end of a gun. America suffered too many times the tragedy of an assassin's bullet. It solves nothing and just tears the country apart. We must do everything we can to prevent it and never give it any oxygen.
Now, the latest assassination attempt on Trump has added to the woes of the U.S. Secret Service, which is already facing calls for an overhaul over repeated security lapses. More in our next report.
The U.S. Secret Service is facing renewed scrutiny after the second assassination attempt on former U.S. President Donald Trump within a span of 2 months. On Monday, a gunman tried to kill Trump while he was playing golf in West Palm Beach, Florida. Trump escaped unharmed as a Secret Service agent spotted the shooter in the bushes. The suspect, who fled the scene, was later arrested. In July, a shooter injured Trump at a public rally in Pennsylvania. Massive concerns over the security lapse led to the resignation of then Secret Service Chief Kimberly Cheatle. As for the Palm Beach incident, authorities have defended the agency, saying that the entire golf course was not secured as Trump is not the serving president.
The Secret Service's protective methodologies work, and they are sound, and we saw that yesterday. But the way we are positioned right now in this dynamic threat environment, it has given me guidance to say, you know what, we need to look at what our protective methodology is. We need to get out of a reactive model and get to a readiness model.
The defense has done little to curb criticism, with President Joe Biden saying that the Secret Service needs more help.
But one thing I want to make clear, the service needs more help. And I think the Congress should respond to their needs if they in fact need more services.
Originally established to combat counterfeit currencies, the agency today boasts of 6,500 personnel and is responsible for providing lifelong security to current and former presidents. But it now has an additional task of maintaining its public image amid calls for reform. Bureau Report, DD India.
All right, now take a look at what else is making news around the world. Malaysia has frozen 96 bank accounts linked to an Islamic business group called Global Ikhwan Services and Business Holdings. The conglomerate is being investigated for allegations of child abuse and neglect, money laundering and cheating, and religious offences. Thailand's economy is to get a big stimulus after the $13.5 billion handout program set to roll out later this month. About 145 billion baht, that's $4.36 billion, is to be given to low-earning people and vulnerable groups as a kickstart boost. This is the flagship scheme of the ruling Pheu Thai party, keen to give a lift to the underperforming economy of the country. Using innovative hydrofoil technology, Swedish company Candela has made a C8 foiling craft which runs purely on electricity, an innovative measure towards reducing fuel consumption and saving energy. The boat has made a record of traveling the largest distance totally on electricity. But moving on, the Indian Navy continues its humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations named Operation Sadbhav in Myanmar after the devastating flash floods caused havoc there due to Typhoon Yagi. A second tranche of aid has been dispatched to that country. An Indian Navy aircraft is carrying 32 tons of relief material, including gensets, hygiene kits, temporary shelter, water purification supplies and medicines for the citizens of the neighboring country. Additionally, 10 tons of ration is also being sent. India has acted as the first responder to Myanmar in line with its Act East policy. The mayhem caused by Typhoon Yagi continues as the death toll in Myanmar surpassed 226 in just a week. Meanwhile, torrential rains have caused floods in Central Europe. Here's a report on the latest weather updates from around the world.
Extreme weather conditions continue to wreak havoc in different parts of the world. Streets and houses remain submerged after heavy rains triggered floods in parts of Central Europe, with at least 17 deaths recorded. Residents of the northern Czech city of Ostrava were rescued from their home as police deployed helicopters after the worst flooding in more than 2 decades left a trail of destruction. $260 million has been set aside by the Polish government for the victims affected by the flood. The region around the border between the Czech Republic and Poland were hit hard.
The losses are unimaginable for the city. All the bridges are broken, asphalt is coming off. The town doesn't have the funds to repair it. The city looks like an apocalypse. I would call it a ghost town.
More than 40,000 people in southern Poland have been evacuated after the embankment was damaged. Residents of the Nysa city gathered sandbags and left their homes to help prevent Kotska River's embankment from completely caving in. In Romania, the flooding killed at least 7 people over the last few days. Many Asian nations are also facing large-scale flooding. Typhoon Yagi left swathes of areas inundated with surge waters in its wake. To add to the misery, incessant rain since then has worsened flood situation and triggered landslides. The death toll in the Southeast Asian country has reached 226 on Tuesday. 77 people are still missing as over 150,000 homes were flooded. The cyclone left a trail of destruction with damaged roads, disrupting electricity and telecom services. The current conditions are hampering the relief efforts. Bureau Report, DD India.
The effects of a warming planet have been particularly visible in Central Asia. According to a report by the Eurasian Development Bank, between 14 and 30% of glaciers in the Tian Shan and Pamir, the 2 main mountain ranges in Central Asia, have melted over the last 60 years.
A pile of grey rocks. This particular spot was glaciers just a few years ago. This is the Tian Shan range in the Central Asian country of Kyrgyzstan. This is just one of the glaciers in the region that have entirely disappeared in the past couple of decades as temperatures rise. The situation is alarming. Mountainous Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan are home to around 10,000 glaciers each, which are the main source of water for Central Asia. Thus, the accelerated melting risks triggering water shortage for millions living in the region. There are other consequences too. The increased volume of water in downstream lakes will worsen flooding. A group of diplomats and environmentalists have now come together, calling on the governments in Central Asia to fund water management infrastructure and climate risk management initiatives. Bureau Report, DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. An expert take on India's plans for holding simultaneous elections to the country's parliament and state legislatures. And India Water Week 2024 kicks off, focuses on the interrelatedness of water and life systems.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. India's Home Minister Amit Shah says government plans to implement One Nation, One Election in its current tenure. Highlights achievements of the first 100 days of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's third term. Atishi to succeed Arvind Kejriwal as the next Delhi Chief Minister. Decision taken at a meeting of the Aam Aadmi Party's legislators. And a renewed push for peace in West Asia. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken to travel to Egypt to discuss Gaza ceasefire efforts. And going back to our top story, one nation, one election will be implemented in this term of the government, says Home Minister Amit Shah. And joining me is Mr. D.K. Dubey, constitutional expert, joining us from Kanpur. Mr. Dubey, welcome to DD India News Hour. Now, straight off the bat, why is one nation, one election an idea whose time has come?
Actually, we did a lot of efforts, and there is a disturbance in the progress of the country, in the wellness of the country. That is because every time we have an election, in every 6 months we goes to the election, and whole machinery is expended their time there. So who have to work for the development? That is why I think there is a need to make an election in one time in every 5 years. So we can make better policies, we can expend time for the administration, we can expend time for the progress, for the development, and a lot of things are there. For that, machinery has to expend the time, and the legislators have to expend the time, and the political parties has to make a mind that they have to work for the nation for at least 5 years. And after in 5 years, we will go to the election. That is why there was the need of election. It is in need of the time of India that there must be one nation, one election at present time. But there may be some technical problems. That is why the committee was constituted by the government, and committee is recommended. Committee is submitted their report, and as per the report, Home Minister replied as per the report that it is possible that we will do one nation, one election in this term of Parliament.
Mr. Dubey, which brings me to my next question to you. What kind of infrastructure or resources would the Election Commission require for holding a nationwide simultaneous elections?
Yeah, it's your valid question, but we must have to remember that the first election of this country was commenced from October 1951 to 1952, means they had taken 5 months approximately for the first election of country. Now, if an infrastructure is not sufficient, I agree that the infrastructure may be the problem, but we can make the span, we can expend more time to commence the election. That is why if there is a lack of infrastructure, we need an infrastructure, no doubt. Government will do every effort to maintain the requirement of the infrastructure. But I think that we can commence the election in 2 or 3 months. If we will give the time for the 2 or 3 months to commence the full election, then it is possible that we can do so.
Fair enough. Which brings me to another question to you, Mr. Dubey. Do you have any estimate or knowledge or understanding of how much money would India save by switching to one nation, one election?
No, I cannot calculate. Okay. Actually, there are a lot of surmises.
Fair enough.
That there is a lot of surmises. People say that such much money is expended and may be saved. But I am not an economist. That is why I have no answer for that.
Fair enough. Point taken. What would you like to tell the skeptics or critics who might be getting swayed by misinformation or disinformation, or have certain misgivings about the concept or idea of India holding simultaneous elections for Parliament and the state assemblies? What would you like to tell them?
Actually, see, first thing is this, that every time we have to make the policy for the first time. There is a lot of things that we make the policy for the first time, and practically if the person is not involved in that, they can make such type of a statement that it is possible, not possible, or government is not giving a correct information, or it is misinformation. But in my opinion, it is possible, and the committee recommended for that.
Right.
If the committee is on the conclusion that it can be happened, and such thing be the modus operandi, then it can be happened. If we will do so, then all the mouth will be shut up to that.
Fair enough. Another misinformation or misgiving related to this is, what if a state government falls midterm? Then what? Is there a legal or practical remedy?
Yeah, there is a lot of nations, those having the constitutional remedies in case of mid-fall or not sustain the state government for a full term. In that case, there may be the all-party government, and all-party government can run for the remaining time. And it is also possible that the Council of Ministers may become a Council of Ministers of the Union, like in case of the Union territories. Governor will do the rule, and the Council of Ministers of the Central will be the advisory council. It is possible because in case of Jammu and Kashmir, what happened there? In Jammu and Kashmir, we imposed the government, the governor rule. In that case, the Council of Ministers is the Union's Council of Ministers. It is possible, and in the style, we can run the government as per the NCT Delhi style also. That you are the Council of Ministers, but the main power will be in the hands of the governor. And we will do the division of power. That in what cases the recommendatory body will be the all-party government, and what remains will be in the hands of the Central's Union of Council of Ministers. So it is possible that we can do so. But the problem is this: what about the first time? When we will go for the first time, then the government that is elected just 1 year before the election of 2029, it may be possible that these are the constitutional anomalies may come to the Supreme Court. But once government will make the formula, will pass by the parliament, then in that case, the midterm elections, we can convince the state governments that all of you have to go once at least in one nation, one election, and after that we will make a remedy.
Fair enough. And finally, before we close, Mr. Dubey, how do you look at the first 100 days of Prime Minister Modi's third term in terms of the achievements or the future roadmap?
Yeah, it's wonderful that in case of foreign policy of the country, in case of new policies, new investment policies. So I think that 100 days are very wonderful for the purpose of administration, for the purpose of good governance, and for the purpose of foreign policies.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Mr. Dubey, thank you once again for joining us and sharing your thoughts with our viewers. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Right, moving on, India's commitment to water conservation and management takes center stage with the 8th edition of India Water Week 2024. The prestigious event held in New Delhi is a major step towards addressing the nation's water challenges while fostering global partnerships.
The 8th India Water Week 2024 began with an urgent and important message. Inclusive and collaborative efforts are key to ensuring water security. At the heart of the event is the theme, Partnership and Cooperation for Inclusive Water Development and Management. The event is organized by the Ministry of Jal Shakti, bringing diverse stakeholders to the forefront of discussions on sustainable water management. Inaugurated by India's President Draupadi Murmu, the event witnessed speeches from various dignitaries, including the Minister of Jal Shakti, C.R. Patil. A special highlight of the inaugural session was the recognition of women water warriors who have played a pivotal role in community-based water conservation efforts. Ujiyaro Bai from Madhya Pradesh and Lakimen Nonglaw from Meghalaya were honored for their relentless work in water preservation at the grassroots level. Their stories reflect the indomitable spirit of India's women fighting for their communities' access to clean water.
हमारे समाज में जल संसाधन को बहुत मूल्यवान माना जाता है। ऋग्वेद की एक ऋचा है, अपसु अंतः अमृतम अपसु भेषजम, अर्थात जल में अमृत है, जल से औषधि है, यानी जल जीवनदायी अमृत की तरह है। मानवता के लिए तथा सभी प्राणियों और वनस्पतियों के लिए भी जल का आवश्यकता है।
The theme of the conference aligns with the government's focus on sustainable water management practices through initiatives like the Jal Jeevan Mission and Namami Gange, which have become successful models of integrating traditional knowledge with modern technology. India Water Week is a crucial platform for international cooperation with participation from countries around the world, showcasing innovative solutions to water crisis. The event fosters dialogue on pressing global issues, including climate change's impact on water resources and the need for equitable distribution. As India continues its journey towards becoming a global leader in sustainable water management, India Water Week 2024 serves as a reminder that partnerships at every level, from rural communities to international allies, are crucial for ensuring a secure water future for all. With Kriti Vadera, Anil Thomas for DD India, New Delhi.
All right, now take a look at what else is making news in India. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar addressed the inauguration ceremony of Swachhata Hi Seva 2024 campaign at a senior secondary school in Jhunjhunu district of the western Indian state of Rajasthan on Tuesday. Before the event, the Vice President also planted a sapling on the school's premises. The Staff Selection Commission, a recruitment agency of the Government of India, has been authorized to verify the Aadhaar of candidates at the time of their registration and during various stages of recruitment. This comes in the wake of cases of false identities, malpractices and unfair means used by candidates to clear the examination. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has ordered the deployment of the Disaster Response Force and sniffer dogs to search for survivors trapped under the rubble of a house in Firozabad district of the state that was damaged in an explosion. An illegal firecracker factory was being operated from the building. The blast claimed 4 lives and injured dozens. And still to come on DD India News Hour. India's men and women continue their impressive run post victories in the 5th round of Chess Olympiad. Sebastian Coe among 7 International Olympic Committee members to enter race to succeed Thomas Bach as president. And Scotland's capital Glasgow set to host the 2026 Commonwealth Games.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. India and the US held the 2+2 intercessional on Monday with officials from India's Ministry of External Affairs and Defense and the US State and Defense Departments. The officials of the Ministry of External Affairs and Defense and the US State and Defense Departments attended the 2+2 intercessional. Key discussions covered bilateral strategic and defense priorities alongside regional and global issues. Earlier on 13th September, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman held a meeting with a delegation from the US International Development Finance Corporation here in the national capital. Discussions were centered on strengthening economic cooperation between both sides with a particular focus on investment opportunities in India. Preparations are on to hold the World Food India 2024, a flagship event of the Ministry of Food Processing Industries in New Delhi from the 19th of September. It'll be a one-of-a-kind gathering of manufacturers, producers, investors, policymakers and organizations from across the global food ecosystem. DD India's Anil Thomas reports.
World Food India 2024, the third edition of World Food India Summit is taking place in the national capital over the next 5 days. And we've got with us the Ministry of Food Processing Additional Secretary Minaz Alam joining us to let us know more. So how would you see this edition, purely what is it, the big, push that this edition is going to do?
Yeah, World Food India 2024 is the third edition of World Food India. And this time we are focusing on various sectors. The main pillars are plant-based protein, we have food irradiation, we have sustainable packaging, then reducing waste. So this edition we are going to have thousands of visitors, then also exhibitors, international participation. We have G2G meetings, we have thematic sessions, and also participation for food processing machineries, with state governments, various government of India departments. So it will be a great opportunity for entire food processing sector to come here and to know India. And also particularly this edition, we are going to have Global Food Regulator Summit done by FSSAI, as well as a reverse bilateral meet to be done by community boards of Ministry of Commerce. So it will be a great opportunity for Indian market to connect to foreign market, and also foreign buyers to come here and see our potential in the food processing sector.
Anything that the common man can pick from this particular, World Food 2024 program?
Yeah, common man can see the products by different companies, exhibitors, and also for common man they can also see various exhibitions and also the summits which is happening. Food Regulator Summit, Bilateral Summit also is there. And also there are sessions which are very informative, so people can register and participate. And this is a great opportunity because this is once in a year we are going to have this type of summit. For everybody there is something, for consumers, for farmers, for small industries. They can have a good experience of this World Food India 2024.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you joining us. Well, there is opportunity for each and every one of us to come and enjoy this festival that begins on the 19th, lasts till the 22nd. It's happening at Bharat Mandapam. Do not miss this opportunity. It's me, along with my camera person Shiv, signing off.
All right, now to news from the world of sport. China will take on the defending champion India in the final of the Asian Champions Trophy 2024 on Tuesday. China's men's hockey team made it to the final of the tournament after a win over Pakistan 2-0 in a penalty shootout after the full-time score ended at 1-1. Meanwhile, for India, their semi-final clash against South Korea was a one-sided affair which saw them taking the win with a 4-1 scoreline. India has remained unbeaten in the round-robin stage, whereas China has already lost 3 matches, making the visitors favourites to win the title for the 5th time. India's men and women teams continue their impressive run as India posted victories at the 5th round of the Chess Olympiad in Budapest. The second-seeded Indian men defeated Hungary 3-1 to maintain their unbeaten record. The 6th round saw Arjun Erigesi registering his 6th win in a row. The world number 4 beat Sanan Sugirov on the 3rd board, while Hungary's top-rated players Richard Rapport and Peter Leko held World Championship challenger D. Gukesh and R. Pragnananda to draw on the top 2 boards. Arjun and Vidit won their games in dominating fashion to secure India a comprehensive victory in the 6th round. Meanwhile, the Indian women overcame Armenia 2.5 to 1.5. Dronavalli Harika and Vaishali Ramesh Babu had to share the point with lower-rated players, with Tanya Sachdev also drawing with Anna Sargsyan. Divya Deshmukh saved the day for India by beating Elena Danielin with white pieces on the 3rd board as India won the match on the top table. Tuesday will be a rest day as 5 rounds still remain in the tournament. The International Olympic Committee published a list of 7 would-be candidates who are set to run for election in March 2025 to succeed outgoing President Thomas Bach for the next 8 years. 2 former Olympic champions, Prince of a Middle East kingdom and the son of a former president, are also in the race to be the next IOC president. The global leaders of cycling, gymnastics and skiing also are in the play. The IOC said that World Athletics chief Sebastian Coe and Zimbabwe's sports minister Kirsty Coventry are also among 7 candidates for next year's presidency election. Thomas Bach is stepping down next year after 12 years at the helm. The election will be held at the IOC session in ancient Olympia in Greece in March 2025. Scotland's capital Glasgow is set to announce as the host city of Commonwealth Games in 2026, a year after Australian state Victoria pulled out due to ballooning costs. The 2026 Commonwealth Games were to be held in multiple cities across Victoria, but the Australian state made a shock announcement in July last year that it has pulled out of the multi-sport event, citing a steep rise in projected expenditure. However, it is also learned that the Australian authorities have promised a multi-million-pound investment to help finalize Glasgow's offer to rescue the multi-sport event. In football, Liverpool are all geared up before heading to Italy, where they will face AC Milan in the first game of their Champions League campaign on Tuesday night. Liverpool will be looking to bounce back in Milan following new manager Arne Slot's first taste of defeat as boss on Saturday after his side lost 1-0 to Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. Slot has made only one change to the starting lineup in the first 4 league games of the season, but is expected to rotate players for tonight's match. Life under Slot for Liverpool had begun with 3 league wins on the trot without conceding, including a dominant 3-0 victory at Manchester United before losing to Forest on Saturday. And Bayern Munich will take on Dynamo Zagreb in the Champions League opener on Tuesday night. Bayern, who are at the top of the Bundesliga with 3 league wins from as many matches, start their campaign in the hope of reaching the final to be played in their Allianz Arena in May 2025. Tuesday's game is also the first Champions League match as a coach for former Belgium international Vincent Kompany, who took over Bayern this season. India is celebrating Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 74th birthday on Tuesday. To commemorate the occasion, international sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik made a sand art with installation of 2,500 diyas at Modern Art Gallery in New Delhi. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News Hour. You can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download it. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.